Welcome to the Diary of the Pan-African Preacher. There's an African proverb that says a river is filled by many streams. For over 40 years, I've traveled across the African continent and among its diasporan communities, engaging in Pan-African theological dialogue. I understand theology simply as thinking and talking about God and what God's presence means for our lives and the world. This journey has convinced me that Pan-African theology is not a static system of beliefs, but a dynamic and evolving enterprise. As Africa and the global African community continue to confront changing historical, political, economic, cultural, and spiritual realities, so too must the theology that seeks to interpret God's activity within them. A dynamic Pan-African theology draws upon the complementary insights of inculturation, liberation theology, decolonial theology, and post-colonial hermeneutics. It is rooted in African experience, while remaining open to continual renewal. It looks back to recover Africa's rich spiritual and cultural heritage and to acknowledge the enduring wounds of the transatlantic slave trade, colonialism, apartheid, and systemic racism. Pan-African theology engages the present by confronting poverty, conflict, migration, environmental degradation, economic inequality, religious extremism, and the growing influence of neo-colonial political, economic, cultural, and theological forces. So, looking forward, it seeks a prophetic vision grounded in justice, reconciliation, human dignity, and hope. Pan-African theology must transcend the colonial boundaries inherited from European empires. The divisions between Anglophone, Francophone, Lusophone, Arabphone, and other regions have too often fragmented theological reflection. Instead, it should recognize the historical, cultural, and spiritual interconnectedness of Africa's people across the continent and throughout the diaspora. Such a theology is inherently dialogical. It flourishes through sustained engagement among theologians, academics, clergy, lay community, and the African diaspora. Inspired by the African principle of Ubuntu, our humanity is realized through our relationship with one another. It becomes a communal enterprise, continually enriched by the lived experiences of God's people. The biblical foundation of this vision is evident in Acts of the Apostles, chapter 8, verse 26 to 40, where we find the Ethiopian court official serving Candace, queen of the Ethiopians, encountering the gospel through Philip. The narrative reminds us that Africa stood at the very dawn of Christian history, not as a peripheral recipient, but as an active participant in God's redemptive mission. A dynamic Pan-African theology, therefore, seeks not merely to Africanize theology, but to offer the universal church a distinctive theological voice, one that proclaims liberation, reconciliation, human flourishing, and the inseparable relationship between God's mission and the dignity of all peoples. Ashe.